in all my interviews, I guess you didn't catch that of all the information that you gathered.
There's only so much information I can really consume in my brain all at one time, and it's annoying. At the same time, it is. I wish I could store more up there, like a computer, but it's just also the issue of accessing it, because there's a lot of times, like we were having troubles earlier about figuring out names. A lot of times you got stuff up in there, but how you access it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly. It's true. Well, he still has pictures of me on his Facebook profile pictures, so.
Oh, there we go. Not that you look at it on a regular basis.
Not regularly.
Now, speaking of mental acronym and so forth, as much as you are in a physical sport, it's also a very mental one. What kind of mental workouts do you enjoy practicing?
I would say it's more mental, honestly. Yes. And then they say, because you could be in the best shape of your life or even have great technique, but if you're mentally not there, if you're not sound and focused, then it doesn't matter. And honestly, like my debut fights with PFL, my pro debuts were with the PFL. And at that time, I was so injured in my shoulders that I had cortisone shots in it so that I didn't feel pain, but I literally couldn't lift it higher than my shoulder. My arm wouldn't raise higher than my shoulder.
Wow.
And I still had to punch with it, and that was mental. And so in order for me to be strong at that, it's daily meditation, daily breath work. So we've always been on what I call the path. Like, my dad's always been a seeker, and, like, he's been listening to Anthony Robbins since the 90s and now turned Tony Robbins. Like, my dad's always been on something. He went and did ayahuasca before I even heard of ayahuasca over a decade ago in Peru. And he's just like, like whatever you call self-help. And I want to say new age type things. I want to call it that, but it's actually, like, obviously not new. It's ancient, but it wasn't in the Western world. And he was shopping at Trader Joe's when there was just like one per city. He was always up on it. And now it's kind of like a trend. I feel people don't really know the true meaning of it. Anyway, he took me to go see Sadhguru in 2018. Since then, and since COVID, Sadhguru's exploded in the Western world. He's also built a place in Tennessee where people go and learn his practices. But I'm not starstruck like you felt that way with Jeff Cobb, and Jeff Cobb's awesome. I wouldn't feel that way with any celebrity. The biggest celebrity that I would be close to feeling that way with is Maynard James Keenan from Tool, the frontman of Tool, The Perfect Circle.
I'm gonna get into Tool in a minute, but
yeah. But I've encountered him numerous times, and I don't get silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I took his jiu-jitsu seminar recently. He was there. But I just don't get silly. However, meeting Sadhguru in person gave me this feeling that I've never felt from a person. I didn't feel like a fangirl, but you could feel the presence. Like you're affected by being near the proximity of this person. It affects you. And he taught us, it was like a weekend, it's called Inner Engineering. Over that weekend, he taught us something with breath work, and I, for whatever reason, was so inspired by him. I did it every day, and I immediately felt changes within myself, within the clarity of my mind, the motivation. I felt better. And so I'm like, there's something on this, and I've kind of always known, but I never was maybe ready. And I kept that practice up. And leading up to my first fights, pro fights, I think that's what helped. And then obviously it got me into just meditation in general, because breath work is a type of meditation, probably the best way to get started. And that's what really, really got me on that. Now it's like part of the day. Now it's not like I have to do something. It's like what I do. So I thank Sadhguru for that.
That's awesome, because I know I've tried doing it at least daily, and there are some times that I'm not making it as much of a commitment, but I've been working recently more about trying to do more meditation and make sure that it is definitely part of my routine during the day, because as much as I love working out, it's also great to just get there in silence. Sometimes if you want to be in the dark, if not, if you want to challenge yourself, be somewhere where there are noises going on around you, so that you are, fully, finding your center and finding your balance, and just, focusing in on your breath work, like you said, because you're really trying to control the thoughts as they're happening. And I heard a great podcast with RuPaul, and RuPaul said it's like sitting at a bank of a river and just acknowledging them as they go by and allowing them to go by, and then just continue to focus on your meditation.
Yeah, it's okay to have these. We're human, so that it's okay that they go by. You don't want to, if you are mad at it or trying to keep them away, you're resisting, and then that's not conducive. That's opposite of what you're supposed to be doing in meditation. And I just learned a new form this year. You have to actually go and learn it from instructors, which is transcendental meditation.
Oh,
and
yes.
I kept reading on it, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. But you have to go learn. It's really the best way. And it's cool to go and see how they do it and why. But that's kind of like the biggest part of that is allowing it, because that's our release. Like, you can't release all this BS by hiding away from it or shoving it. You just allow it, and then it floats away. and so that's been cool, because it's really easier. It's probably the easiest form of meditation I've ever done.
Huh.
Yeah, transcendental. A lot of celebrities do it. Huh?
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably why a lot of celebrities are able to do it so well, because it's, like you said, it's the easiest form.
Yeah, it's like unbelievably easy. Sometimes you think it's not effective, but it is. I have noticed things being more flowy, but who knows? That could just be a whole accumulation of me getting my shit together for once.
For once.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you are a massive Tool fan. I want to ask something else, but I want to go further back. How did you first hear Tool? And, I mean, I'm not going to ask your favorite song or album, but how many times have you seen them live?
Oh. Well, I know my mom had their album when I was a kid, but she had a whole collection of CDs. Yeah, she is one of my music gurus for sure. She's always been into music, and she'll school anyone on music trivia. But I don't remember her listening to Tool then, but I do remember the summer before my 8th grade year, this older kid was hanging out at these kids I used to babysit's house, and he started talking about this band and this music, and I'll never forget. I'm like, why, who, what are you talking about? And he told me, and I started listening to it, and I was hooked. I think it was the Enema album that I started listening to first. And it was I was a kid. I don't even know what I loved about it so much. I can't even recall what he said that made me so intrigued, but I was just so fascinated. And then when I listened to it, it definitely lived up to what he was saying. I wasn't even in high school when I saw them the first time at Fresno.
Wow. And
the Melvins opened up for them. And this was back in the day where it was all GA, there were no seats, and he would wear his bra. And I don't think there's
that phase, okay.
I don't know if there's anybody that should have been there. I don't know how my best friend's mom dropped us off. Like, we were just kids. So, I mean, it was a good time. And since then, maybe a couple more times, and then And then they didn't have a new album for a long time, and I think it was Lateralis finally came out. And then once on that tour, I saw them. I'm going to see them, oh my gosh, is it next month? This tour, I saw them 2 years ago and the year of COVID. So maybe 5, 6 times.
Wow, that's awesome.
But I mean, it's so different now than that first time. Those first couple times. Yeah, like he doesn't have General Mission. He hasn't had General Mission for a while, probably since Lateralis.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of remember him saying, "Why are you guys being violent to each other? We're not even violent music."
Yes.
And
I've been lucky enough to see them twice.
Tell me. Oh yeah, when?
So the first one I think was the Lateralis tour. Tricky opened up for them.
Ooh.
And yeah, I know. I was like, and I was on the floor at an arena here in Dallas that does not exist anymore. And from then on out, I was like, okay. I mean, like you said, the people were violent, and I was like, I'm not going to be in a pit for Tool ever again because these fans are dickheads. There's no way. I've been in multiple pits, and these guys just don't care. And I was like, okay, not doing that again. But
really?
they put on such a good show, and I think he was in the back of the stage, which is so funny because of the fact that he's the front man. But it's not about really putting a show on as much as it is about the music and like really connecting, I feel like, with the fans when it does come to that music. And then I saw him again. I guess they had a second leg of that tour because that was in Dallas and they came through Fort Worth, and I was in the stands, and it was a completely different show for me because, you're not in it, you're not looking up at it, you're looking down at the stage and like the lights and everything. And it was just like, it was so beautiful, and I loved every bit of it. And I highly recommend, if you're not a Tool fan, obviously start listening to Tool, or at least give them a try. And then, if you get a chance, go see them live. It can be kind of pricey depending on where you're going to see them at. Again, they're at that stage now where they're just like this giant arena tour, and they're not going to be at smaller venues. Like, I wish, like, if I had the power, certain bands I would love to see on a small, like, House of Blues at the biggest level, because I think those shows are so much more intimate and better. But, big shows are always great too, because you get a lot more lights, you get more visuals. And, I think it was funny because when we saw them the second time and they took the blanket off Danny Carey's drum set, people applauded just for that, because they knew that amazing drummer is about to start playing for everybody, and everybody lost their mind.
Yeah, because they know. And so that's what I say. If people don't like Tool, it's because they don't know Tool, or they just have shitty taste in music. Because you have to at least respect it, because their skills in drumming and guitar, and Maynard's voice is undoubtedly some of the most amazing playing there is, like the most amazing art that there could be. So you got to respect that. And I think that, so even my dad, he thought it was like metal, or I'm like, it doesn't even sound like metal, they even have said they don't know why they were classified under metal, which I still love metal too, but it's more like a psychedelic, like it's an experience. That's what they said. They want it to be a psychedelic experience.
Yes.
And it is. And man, it's led me through my life in different stages of my life, like no other art has or could.
That's awesome. So, I mean, that's kind of the question I wanted to ask initially about Tool was, if somebody had not gotten into Tool, or maybe they've heard of them but they've never really listened to them, where would you have them start listening when it does come to Tool?
Oh man, yeah. Well, I think I'd have to know the person.
Okay.
But I would always, I think, probably start them with the Lateralis album.
Okay.
because it's